Hey everybody, welcome to Beyond the Romance, Candid Conversations with Dev and Ange. I'm Ange.
I'm dead.
And basically we had this podcast that we're going to share of our personal journey of love, financial freedom, and the joys and challenges of raising a family. And yes, I will memorize that in a couple of videos, but that's just for now. This first episode is just going to be a little bit of summary of how we met and where it all started. You want to start it?
Well, first, today is our 11-year anniversary. So we've been together since we was in high school. So I guess we just started back there, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Where he was following me around.
So let's tell the truth. So we start off with, I usually tell people to start off with sign language class.
Yeah.
But it didn't. It started the year before that. She was already jockeying and trying to see what was going on. She had came to the hoop game. We both played basketball. And we was on the team, and it was a game I was doing pretty good. So she came to the game, and she was like, "Oh, good game, woo, woo." And then she started coming by the little practices and stuff, and kind of just, but it wasn't really too much. We weren't really talking and stuff like that. And then the next year, we got into the sign language class, where we were in the same class. And when she walked in, I had told my friend, like, "Yeah, man, I'm gonna make her my girlfriend." So it just became a process of like trying to court her and trying to like ask for help on the homework, even though like sign language was hecka easy, but like just trying to find reasons to talk to her and stuff, and she fell for it.
Yeah, I guess after a little while, but I don't think it went like that. We both have different stories. I feel like every relationship has that, like each person has a separate story, and I definitely remember it as just the ASL. I don't remember the basketball game. So
you don't remember coming to the game?
I'm sure I came to a basketball game, but like
okay, you don't remember coming to the
no,
practice?
it was not for you.
Okay.
And so, yeah, that's where it all started. So I guess in 2012 is when we officially got together, June 26, 2012.
Yeah.
And yeah.
But I mean, to go before that, like when we first met, like sign language class, so that was at the end of my junior year, her sophomore year. So we met at the beginning of that year in the class. And like we were just kind of like talking, but like we were both like kind of talking to other people at the time, kind of just having fun. We were young, you know what I'm saying? She was only a sophomore, I was a junior, so it was like we were just kind of filling it out, and we just was kind of going through, and then I think like maybe like February, March-ish, like
somewhere around there.
It's like we kind of was like, okay, well, we're gonna date exclusively, like we're gonna stop talking to these other people.
We'll stop playing games.
Right, stop playing games, and then so we started dating, and then it was going good. And then I remember talking to my friend Rudy Bo, and I'm like, yeah, bro, me and Angie. I remember I was leaving Jolie, went to Cusada to get a link, and I was walking down the street, and he like, we was on the phone. I'm like, yeah, everything going good, everything. He like, oh, so that's cool. So like, when you gonna ask her out? And I'm like, what? Like, we've been dating for like 3 months exclusively, like we boyfriend girlfriend. He like, no, bro, I think you gotta like actually ask her. I'm like,
shout out to Rudy Bill, because yes, ladies, don't leave any room for questions. Like, you need to make sure that if he wants to be your boyfriend, he asks you. Don't just let it be, oh, well, we've been together doing this, doing that. Like, no, don't leave no room for questions.
Yeah, so I found that. So I text her like, hey, like, like, what are we like, boyfriend, girlfriend? And she was like, well, I mean, you haven't asked me, so I mean, I know. Like, I'm like, I was on the phone with Rudy, like, bro, you right. Like, I'm like, oh, snap. So this, I guess, is June 25th of 2012. So me and Rudy, we get to talking and trying to figure out, like, now it's a whole ordeal. Like, what I'm finna do, like, what I'm finna say, like, is she even gonna say yes now that I done asked her? Like, what? Now I started panicking. So the next day I had a summer league game at City, and you had practice at SH. So I remember I had came to meet her at Sacred Heart to pick her up, and she would come me to the game. So I told Rudy, like, I'm gonna ask her at Burger King down the street from SH, because we used to always go there and stuff. So it's like, cool, I'm gonna ask her to meet her and her friend Emma. Shout out Emma. She was a big part early on too of making this all come together.
Definitely.
So we was walking down, we got to Burger King, got our food, had my chance, got scared, didn't ask. We kept on walking, I'm asking now. And Emma kind of knew what was going on, so she kind of like, what, like, and I'm like, I don't know. So then we kept going, we ended up catching the train station, the train to Stonestown.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we got to Stonestown, I was like, we got off on the platform. I'm like, forget it, I'm just going. I'm like, you know, Angie, I really like you. Will you be my girlfriend? I just said it, and she was like, yeah.
Because I knew I was gonna say yes. It's just he didn't ask, so come on, we had to get it together. So I was happy that he did ask, and obviously I said yes. And from that point on, we've dated ever since.
Ever since, like we went on. So that was going into my senior year, her junior year. We went through that, and I think everything was going pretty smooth. And then it became the fact of like I was gonna get ready to go to school.
Yeah, he was going off to college.
So I graduated. We had our summer, and I mean I wasn't going far. I only went to Sonoma State, so that's only like an hour and a half away. But it was still like, oh, you going to school? Oh, she gonna be in the city? Like, I mean, everybody on my side, like all the people was like, oh, it's not gonna work. Like, I don't know, like that.
I think it was on both sides. Both of our families were just like, for him, it was like, you need to go have your, you know, like what they tell guys, you need to go have all your time. And then my family was just like, hey, like, you know, this is the stuff that could happen. Like, you guys might want to figure it out. Maybe you guys just give it a break type thing. Like, and we're just like, no. Like, we always danced to the beat of our own drum. Like, it was never, even if we bumped our heads hundreds of times, like, we always did it our way. And I think that's what really worked best for us. So he went off to college, and
we was making it work. Like,
yeah,
I mean,
I was taking the bus from Montera
really?
all the way to Sonoma.
Right.
And Montera is like by Half Moon Bay. I don't know if you guys know if you're from the Bay Area, but like by Half Moon Bay, it's probably like 30-40 minutes from the city. Mm-hmm. So on bus, it's even longer. And then all the way across the bridge. And we still made time. He would come to the city so that we could hang out. And
we would just like make time. Like, even if it was like people used to make fun of me at school because we would have like movie dates, like where we would call on like Uvu. Like, I guess we tell them how old we like Uvu.
Yeah, Uvu.
Some of the people watching might not know Uvu is, but that was like the thing before like FaceTime and all that. But we would hop on Uvu, and then like we would put a movie on and just watch from the same point, and like that would be like our little date, and then like we would talk about it or watch Grey's Anatomy or something like that. Mm-hmm. But whatever we had to do to just make sure we kept each other like relevant, like, you know, like she said, catching a bus up to Sonoma, me coming back home, me convincing my mom to come get me to bring me back home, or just making sure like we never lost communication. Like, everybody in Sonoma, all my friends knew about Angie. So like when she came up, it was like, hey, how you doing? Because it's like they had already been seeing her, they already like been heard so much about her, so it was never like a big deal for her to like just pop up whenever. So I feel like we really worked hard to make like, and it wasn't like to prove anybody wrong or anything, but it was just like we felt strong about like what we had. And if you feel strong about something, like if you feel like you found that person, like you gotta bet on that, like, because people gonna tell you their opinions, but like can't nobody really tell you about your story. Like, our story is different from everybody else's, no matter like how long you've been together or like where you met. It can't be the same as ours. So we just always kind of rock with that.
Yep. So then after his first year, it came down to the point of, now I'm graduating that next year from high school, and I needed to figure out, you know, where am I going to college? I had gotten into a good amount of schools, and I came down to 3 different schools. I came down to 3 different schools that I was really deciding on. One was out of state, and then 2 I think were like local. One was Sonoma. And the 2 biggest factors for me, so I had dropped my sister off to college, University of Arizona, and I had seen, and this is no disrespect to their school, but like the dorms, it was like brick walls, like they had community bathrooms, and that just wasn't for me. Like, I just couldn't see myself do something like that. And yeah, I just couldn't, I couldn't be in that type of environment. But so I saw Sonoma's dorms. I'd already seen where he was living at. And Sonoma's dorms are like, you're just living in a whole house. Right. And everybody got their like own bathroom. There's 2 people would share a room and a bathroom, and then there's like 2 singles in the house as well. And so I love that. And then the campus was like beautiful trees, and like, it's just so pretty at Sonoma. And then also the other thing was like, I wanted to go to school with my boyfriend. that it was a big factor. So I'm not going to say like, oh, I wasn't chasing after him. I think it definitely was like, I was happy to be with him. We loved spending time together, and I wanted to go do that. And I think it was also a really big good thing for me was seeing that he had his own friends and I could come up there and do the same, and we can be like his friends were cool enough that we could be friends, and then we can also do our own thing, which is like a big thing.
For sure.
Were you scared when like I was deciding on coming to Sonoma, or like even if it was like my top choice?
Nah, I mean, I remember when you was going through the process, like I was always like, I didn't want to like force you, like feel like I was like making you come or like making you feel bad if you wanted to go somewhere. Cause like, I mean, for those who know, Angie's super smart. So like, she was getting into school after school after school. So like, my thing was more of, well, we've already made it work. Like I've already made my decision to go. Like I didn't go to SF State so that we could stay right there. So like, why would I make her come to Sonoma? So I was really more like, my thing was like support, but like I wanted her to come. So it's like I was more of letting her know like I would be happy if she came, but I didn't want it to be like, you better come or else I'm gonna be upset. Yeah. Like it was none of that. So like I was happy when you made your decision. Like I was like, okay, cool. So she picked it, and I didn't feel like I had no like persuasion. I know a lot of people was gonna be like, oh, you probably said this and said that, but like we knew I didn't have that part. So like I felt good about that, like that process.
I think if he did have that reaction, that probably would have pushed me away. Like if he had the reaction of like, you need to come here. I'm very, like, we're both Aries. I don't know if people know, but we're very hard-headed and stubborn. And like, if he would have had that reaction, I definitely would have been like, I'm going somewhere else then, and we could figure it out long distance or something. But I'm glad that it did work out that way. And he was like super supportive in whatever I wanted to do, which pushed me even more forward to like, I wanted that love in basketball. That love in basketball, that was my movie back in the day. If you know me, I always had all those hoodies and stuff like that. And so I thought it was gonna be fun. But I think you did have like some reservations of like how serious we were getting.
Like no, what like when you first decided, that was like still during the school year. I think like you had to make your decision about like May 1st. So like this was like in April when you decided. So it was like cool. So then we get through to summer. And this was the last summer I came home, because I stayed in Sonoma the rest of the time. But like that freshman year I came home, and like we was hanging out and everything was going good. And then it's like it got close to like the month of it, and like I really start feeling like I was like falling in love with you. Like so I was like, I start getting scared. Like I start getting really like, I was intimidated by what we had. Like I can't lie, because like, you know, growing up where I grew up, you know, I grew up in the Point, like Bayview Hunters Point, for those that don't know. It's not really a lot of like this type of love. It's not really a lot of like, oh, you meet in high school and then you grow up, and then it's like where it's really just genuinely happy. Like, you know, I grew up in a single parent household, so I was just scared. I didn't know if I could be like what she needed. Like I didn't know if I could be the man that she needed to take, like that could help fulfill everything she wanted to do in life, you know. Like, I mean, I had my grandparents that had been together for like 30 years, but even they met when they was like in their 40s. They had both been married before that, and it didn't work out. And then they found their true love later on and lived happily ever after. But I hadn't seen nothing like what we had. So I started getting nervous. I started like starting little arguments and like just panicking, really realistically. And then, so then we ended up taking a break. We ended up,
a lot of people don't know that actually. Yeah, we broke up. I wouldn't even call it taking a break. We definitely broke up. Like it
was called taking a break. Like that's how I pitched it. We was taking a break, and then she was just like, it's like
it was tough. So I had started school at Sonoma, and we ended up breaking up, and I really thought like it was devastating for me. It took a toll on like me personally, but also like school. I like pretty much, I don't know if you guys know, but like in college, like you can have, what is it called? Academic probation. Like I ended up on academic probation. I've never had grades like that. And yeah, it was really devastating for me. But during that time, I ended up learning so much about myself. And like, I was really at the point of like, okay, like we really broke up. After a couple months, I was like, oh, like we're really, like, it's done. Like we're not getting back together. There's no hope. Like, it was crazy. And then I ended up, doing a lot of working on myself. I did end up dating. And I think the one thing for me that was like constantly in the back of my head was there was always like, I'd go out on dates and it'd be like that was fun. I had fun. It was great. But it wasn't Devin. Like, and things like kept coming back to me like that. But I didn't understand it why at the time. Like, it just more was like, damn, like, am I just caught up on him? Like, what is it? And so I spent a lot of time going to the gym, hanging out with my friends. I really got close with Sabrina and Joy. Like, we
Shout out Joy.
yeah,
Shout
we
out
were
Sabrina.
we were always together, like going to the gym every single day, like just going out having fun. What about you during that time?
I mean, for me, like I said, like I was just like, I don't know, like I had so much going on in my head, like so like I said, like we were both like dating and just like kind of like exploring and seeing like what it was out there. But like for me, like I felt like I was a little bit more like hopeful than Angie was during that time. Like I always felt like I was really serious about. I thought this was a break. Like I'm like we not just like breaking up forever or like I never felt like there was no chance we were gonna get back together. Like I needed time to grow up. Like I needed time to like, I don't know. Like, and then like, you know, Angie dad, like if y'all know Angie dad, like he just like, you know, really good guy. Like he a protector, provider. He do all these things, like go to all the kids' games. Like, I'm like, this is a lot to live up to. And like, it was just so many like overwhelming thoughts. So I was working through all that, trying to talk to people. But like Angie said, like, it was never like, I never got that same feeling that I had like with you with like anything else I was doing, or like nothing really brought, like anything you do, it's like, oh, I did this good thing, but it's like, oh, I can't tell Angie. So it's like, dang, well, like what do I do? Like, so we ended up like, well, I called her one day like, like, you know, we need to talk. Like like, then this was like months down the line, like I'm like, I've realized I like messed up. Like we need to like try to fix this. And I'll never forget, like on the day I was coming to see you, my mom was talking with our neighbor, my aunt Lyris, and they was saying, I'm like, Mom, I gotta go talk to Angie. Like, I've been messing up. And then my aunt Lyris was like, do you love her? I'm like, I'm in love. Like, I know it now. Like, I don't care. Like, so it was just time to let go, like all of the like fears and trying to live up to who her dad was and trying to be like this. I just had to be me and just see like what it was. And I thought it was just gonna be like cool. It was not. It was not cool.
Oh wait, one backtrack. When we were broken up for like 8 or 9 months, something like that.
Something like
And when we were broken up, Christmas had come around, and Devin's mom, I was super close with his family. Like it was like I was always over at their house. Like that's actually, I had like first sleepovers and stuff. Like I had to sleep in his mom's room, but like. And my parents did not play about that type of stuff, but they let me sleep over. I don't know what was going on in their minds, but, and his mom called me and she was like, hey, like, do you want to come over for Christmas? I'm like, hey, like, you know, we're actually been broken up. She's like, I know that's what he said. Like, I don't know what he's doing, but, you need to come over here and just have Christmas with us. Like, you're part of the family, nah, nah. And my goofy self went over there and had Christmas, and he's looking like,
mind you, she did. My mom didn't like. She like, oh, Angie coming over today for Christmas. I'm like, Mom, what are you talking about? Like, we not even together. Like, she gonna say, well, just because you broke up with her don't mean I got to. Like, and it's my house, so she coming. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, she not gonna come, so I'm not tripping.
I definitely showed up. And I showed up cute.
Looking
okay.
good. Looking good. Yeah.
I definitely showed up. And I don't think, even in my head at that point, it wasn't like, I'm showing up to show you what you've been missing. It really was showing up because, like, for them to invite me over for Christmas, even though we had been broken up and they had known, it was just like, I'm not gonna, like, not talk to his family. Like, they were part of my family. So his mom was like another mom to me. So it's like, I'm not gonna leave them just because you don't want to be together. Like, no. I told him, you go do you, and I'll still be at the house chilling with your family. But yeah, so after that, we ended up, he called me, and we working it out, and he thought it was going to be sweet, but no. Mm-mm.
It was not.
No, we had, like, I think at that time, I had learned so much about, like, who I was, what I wanted, and that I wasn't going to compromise that, because I had, like, getting on academic probation was a really big thing for me. The mail went to my dad. Anyways, that was a whole nother story. But it just was like too much for me that I would let our relationship take over all of me type thing. So I knew that when we got back, if he was trying to get back together, it was definitely gonna have to be like worked for and like boundaries set, which was super helpful down the road. Like it was super hard at the time,
Yeah.
but like it definitely helped us down the road.
But like I was so committed to it. Like I knew,
Yeah.
like you feel me. Like we had been through this break, and it was like I'm ready for whatever. So it's like when I mean literally back to day one, like picking her up, taking her on dates. We going play mini golf, or we might go get something to eat, bringing her right back home. Like it wasn't no hugging and kissing, or
No.
she coming over there and we'll hang out, or it was literally like as if we had just met. Hey, how you doing? I'm Devin. You Angie. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, dang. So like it took months of like recouping and like regaining that trust, regaining regaining that like connection that we had. And I feel like that to me was like a big deal, like later on too, like she said, because it really showed me that like she said, she had grown as a person. And even though she loved me, I knew she did, like she would never let like our love like compromise who she was. And I feel like that made me like respect her a lot more, and also look at like how I look at myself a lot different too, because it's like self-respect is like key. Like
Yeah.
I feel like you can't really love somebody else if you don't fully love yourself. So like
Definitely.
so it's like taking that time, I feel like it was big. Like a lot of people be like, oh, y'all broke up. Like, hey, it happened. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's not like a perfect thing. Like we not a perfect couple, but like it was definitely beneficial. It helped us get there. Like it helped me know who she was as a person, and who like to not play with her. And I haven't played again since when she finally let me back in. We've been locked in ever since. That was what, 2015.
It was that song we recreated. If we locked in and go
Yeah.
switching up.
Yeah, you feel me? And when you think about it though, that's pretty much love and basketball.
Yeah,
without the whole
true.
little many like you
All
gotta
the
play for my
cheating and stuff,
heart
though,
and
too.
the cheating and all of
No.
taking girls to McDonald's while y'all still dating. None of that. But like
No.
you feel me? High school, broke up in college, but we got back together in college. They waited hella long, but
Yeah.
you know, put our little twist on it, a little
Yeah.
love and basketball vibe-ish.
Yeah, so once we got through that, it was pretty much smooth sailing through there. Like, obviously every relationship has like little arguments and stuff like that, but we had grown to a spot where like we were learning how to communicate with each other like effectively. We really made it a point to grow, like, I don't know how you say it, but like make sure that our relationship was I don't know how you say it. Like we were able to communicate and I don't know, not do like the petty high school stuff anymore.
No, so it wasn't
Yeah.
more like throwing subliminals at each other on Twitter.
Yeah,
Like
no.
when we was in high school, it'd be like, oh, having another cheeking on my neck, like
Yeah.
you know, just little stuff, but like all of that type
Oh
of
my
stuff.
God.
Or like I don't know, like just even the way we argued is like it ain't no like name call. Like you know what I'm saying? We've been
No.
together for 11 years and I've never called her the B word or nothing
We
like
like
that.
this.
You feel me? Like, we don't do that. So it's like when we do have our little arguments, like we have arguments like everybody else, but
Yeah.
like we're able to come right back and get to the meat of it, to the heart of it, because it's
Yeah.
like it ain't a whole bunch of, oh, I'm sorry I called you this, and I'm sorry
Yeah.
I said this about you and your family, you know, like, you know, it's just like, well, what was you upset about? Like we could get right to it. So
Yeah.
I feel like that saves us a lot of time, and like our arguments don't really like last that long. Like
Yeah.
pretty much, it really lasts until somebody get hungry. To the next
Most
one.
likely it's me getting hungry.
Whoever get hungry, like you better get no food without the other one. So it's like
Yeah.
that's usually when things like kind of, you know, come to a head. But like to finish off the college years, like I think really the next biggest thing that happened with us in college was when we moved in together for
Yeah.
the first time.
Yeah.
We had been, I think that was like I had did 4 years of school, so I was going into my last year. I had did 5 years, and you was going to your fourth when we moved.
Yeah.
in. So like, that was like our next big.
So we had both lived in separate apartments up until then, or dorms. So we had dorms, and then we moved off campus and lived in our own separate apartments. And we'd be back and forth at each other's places, like sleepovers and stuff like that. But like, this was our first place together, which was like a huge step, and our parents were not happy again.
They was not feeling it.
As you can see, this when we were younger, there's a lot of things our parents weren't happy about until they realized, like, okay, they're gonna do their shit.
Yeah, they gonna do what they want.
They're gonna do what they want.
We was really headstrong.
Yeah.
Like it was like we asked, like we never was like trying to hide nothing from them.
No.
Like I feel like we was very like truthful in everything we was doing.
And we appreciated their advice along the way, I think.
Right.
It's just some things we just had to learn on ourselves, which helped us down the line. Because even now, our parents say like that we're happy that we got to this point. So, yeah. Even though they still don't agree with some stuff we do.
We got this far, so they kind of just got to rock with it at this point.
Yeah. But what was like the biggest thing of moving in together for you?
I mean, for me, it's like, once again, like the nerves of like, okay, another big step in the relationship. Like now once you move in, it's like, well, ain't gonna be no more moving back out. It's like either you move back, you live together forever and you live happily ever after, or y'all break up. Like, so I'm like, okay, this is it. Like, like I feel like us having our own spot, like even though we was almost together every day, it was like a little bit of a security blanket. Like if you did get into a little argument, it's like, oh, I'm going back to my dorm. Yeah. I mean, I'm going back to my apartment. You go to your apartment, or we could just, I see you tomorrow. But now living together, there is no see you tomorrow, and we living in a 1-bedroom with a little living room. So it's like we here. It was a kitchen, a living room, bathroom, or bedroom. So it's like it ain't nowhere to go. Like here now in our house, we have multiple rooms. So it's like you just go hang out somewhere. I could go in the backyard and watch TV. But it was like nerve wracking for me. But like I was excited for it. But I'm just an overthinker in general. Well, what about for you? Like, what you think?
I think I was nervous. I was super happy and excited, but I was definitely nervous. I think the biggest thing for me was like being able, like knowing how to share your space. Like it was my own, like I had my own apartment living by myself for a couple of years then at that point. And so everything was mine. So it was like, I could have all my hair stuff out wherever. I could do the dishes when I want to. Like there wasn't any like quote unquote rules. And then when we were going to be living together, it was like, okay, like we have to figure out what works best for us rather than just for me. And I think I was super selfish at that time. Like I was only 20 something years old. You're in the years of like not thinking about really anybody but yourself. And so when we got to living together, like that was like one big step that we had to take. And I think we took it like pretty easily. Yeah. Like we worked ourselves up so much about it that it turned out to be something super easy and like fun to do along the way. Like even deciding on how we decorated the apartment, like we didn't decorate hecka much, but like the stuff that we did together. He calls himself the interior designer, even in our house now.
In our whole house. But like we would like decorate for holidays and but we was college students, so like we would like some of the furniture, like we used to be like, they had like a free or for sale page, so like be like, hey babe, there's a recliner on here. Like it'd be days where we had to go like 4 blocks and they'd be like, you could have this recliner for free if you could carry it. We literally carrying a recliner down the street 4 blocks, just
it was so heavy.
Like it was crazy.
But it was fun. I think that was like definitely a big highlight.
Yeah. No. Sorry, I gotta rewind a little bit. I always tell the story, but I gotta tell it today about this was to me was the turning point. Well, at least for me in our relationship in college. This was like 2 years before that, so like my junior year. Okay. So like a whole year passed, like when we broke up and we got back together. So we had been back together about almost a full year now. And sorry, I just gotta tell this though, but I had moved into the new apartment. Allegro. Remember, so that's where I was living with Roy now. Yeah. And I had got a bed. My mom had ordered me a bed online. Oh, gosh. She had ordered me a bed online, and it was like this bed came. It was all messed up, and like she came like, "What is going on?" So they had to take it back, but they couldn't bring me a new bed for 2 weeks. So then my mom like she was panicking. Like my mom, if y'all know my mom, like she like, "What you gonna do? Like you gonna come home? Like I can get you a hotel?" Like, I'm like, "Nah, mom. Like I could just stay with Angie." She had she was living in a house at that time with 2 roommates. Yeah. At the time, so I'm just staying her. Don't worry about it. I'm just stay there. Realistically, though, I couldn't stay there because her roommates was not that friendly. Like, no. And anytime I would come over, if I would stay the night or if I was there too long, like they would call the landlord, like, "Hey, she having people over," like da. So that wasn't really an option. So just so my mom wouldn't stress, like I didn't tell her, but like I was sleeping on the floor. On wooden floors in the apartment in Allegro for the 2 weeks. Yeah. So then I called Angie like, yeah, babe, they just took my bed, so I'm just chilling. So I'll probably just see you tomorrow. You stay there. And she like, I'm gonna come over and watch a movie. So she came over to watch the movie, And then they got start getting late. She started getting tired. I'm like, well, babe, it's time for you to go home. Like, you, like, she's like, I'm not finna leave you sitting here on the floor, like, and I'm gonna go back to a bed. Like, that don't even feel right. I'm like, and like, you ain't gotta sleep on the floor with me. Like, it's good. Like, I could just see you in the morning. I got my little cover. I had 2 covers on under me, one on top of me and my pillow. We was good. So like, but then she was like, no, like, I want to stay, and she stayed the whole 2 weeks. Like, and I feel like we grew so much in that time. Like, laying on the floor talking about dreams that we had, like how many kids we wanted, like what type of life we want, like what type of house we want, like what, like that really, like I felt so, like I was already in love, but like I just felt like we became soulmates. I felt like in that 2 weeks of like laying on the floor, because like not many women would sleep on the floor, and I don't mean that they don't love you if they want to go home to their bed, but I'm just saying, like, for her to be that invested in this, like anything we in together, like, and that's how we've been our whole relationship, like whether it's her business or whether it's me doing something or working with the kids, or like everything is invested. Like all my students, like all my older students I worked with, like at Balboa, they all know and love Angie. Like everything she doing, I'm all the way in. I know all the things she got going. Like we've always been like lock and steady, I feel like, and that for me was like when I realized, like, wow, like this is what I'm gonna spend the rest of my life with, laying on that floor. And
no, that was definitely the big turning point for sure. Yeah, we talked so much about like what our dream life was gonna look like, and it's crazy now to see like where we're at now. Like a lot of the goals that we had back then, we've already checked off, and now with those same conversations that we had at that time, now we're having it with more goals for the next part of our life. So that's just so crazy to think about. Like that's crazy.
Yeah.
And then so after that, graduated. Both of us graduated. He graduated 2018. I graduated 2019. And then we had to figure out the next steps.
So we were still living in Sonoma.
Yeah.
But I ended up getting a job. I had been working with kids in Sonoma, like working with students and stuff. Like shout out to my students from Sonoma. I ended up getting a job with YCD, working at Balboa High School with my guy Rome. We was tag teaming, working with the youth and stuff, and that. So like it was commuting every day from Sonoma to the city.
That was rough.
Then she up and leave and want us.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. Then she decided, oh babe, I want to go study in New York.
Yeah.
So she went, and what is it called, like the student exchange program?
National Student Exchange. So I actually had been wanting to do study abroad for a long time, but like I was just a little bit too nervous to leave the country. And then it got to my senior year, and I was like, I have to do something. Like I have to do one of these exchange programs. So at the last second, there was one left open at New Jersey City University, and I had the opportunity to go there. And so within like a few weeks, I was like, okay, like I'm going.
I mean, quick. It was. Yeah. It was quick.
Maybe like a week and a half, 2 weeks. Yeah. I had like all the information. I was set. I was going there. And I went. And
it was, for me, it was a big deal though, because like she don't know this, but like after I graduated out, well, I mean, I think you know this now, but like after I graduated, I was having like this big graduation party, and I was planning to ask her to marry me, like. Oh,
I didn't know that.
Huh?
Nah.
So I was at the graduation party. I had already been telling my little friends, but then she said she was going to New York, so I'm like, damn. Like if I asked her to marry me, like she probably not gonna go to New York. Like we just got engaged.
Yeah.
So it's like that was another one of them things where it's like we gotta put like the other one's like needs over like what we want to do. So it's like I didn't really say nothing. Like we just like went on, and I supported her in doing it, even though I really didn't want her to go. Like, I was like, damn, we've been living together, like things going good, and now you finna go here for 6 months, and then I had to like live in Sonoma by myself, be commuting and doing. I was just like, dang, but
paying all the bills by yourself too.
Paying big, like you know what I mean. Like we was just like she was working, I was working, so things was going good, but like it was a little bit of but it was worth it. It was worth it. It was cool.
I think if I wouldn't have gone, I would have like looked back at college like, oh damn, like I regret not going. And I didn't want to, like, anything in college, I wanted to make sure that I didn't have any regrets. And I feel like we did all that we could do at Sonoma to, like, look back. And now we, like, miss college. Like, it was so much fun. But I went to New York, or New Jersey. I was in New Jersey and New York a lot because I also did a program out there. And so we did a lot of FaceTime calls, like, every single day. And at first it was really tough. Like I almost was like, I want to come home, but I knew I needed to just get out of my like comfort zone and go do it. And I really enjoyed the time that I had there. I met my friend Lauren. We were roommates and we lived on campus there. And me and Devin just made it work. We were back. It's so funny because the year that he went to college with like watching the movies and stuff, we then reversed back and like now we were doing it because I was in New York, and we were having to watch the movies, and it was a different time zone and everything too, which is even harder.
Man.
And so we'd have to watch the movies and do FaceTime videos and stuff.
So it'd be like, I'd be up at like 10 and 11. I'm like, it's 2 in the morning where she at, and she got to get up early. And then she'd get up at 7, 8 in the morning and call me, and it'd be 4, 5 in the morning. But like, those are the sacrifices I guess we was willing to make, like, to just kind of like make sure we made time. Because like, she was really busy out there. Like, she had class and she had that program where she was catching the train back and forth to New York.
Yeah.
I was commuting back and forth to the city. Like, that first meeting with me in Rome, like, it was a really hectic, like, task trying to get those kids on track. So, like, it wasn't a lot of time throughout the day. So, like, those night calls and, like, those morning calls was really, like, I feel like it was big. Like, you know, like, I think that really helped. And
then he got to come out and see the school, too. And him and his mom and his sister and granny, they all came out, which was, like, a big thing, too. My parents had dropped me off down there, which was super nice that they got to see it and see where I was at. But then I was like, dang, like, I don't even get to share this, like, big milestone that I got to do. And they came and saw the school and everything, and we got to hang out in New York and all that, which was super cool. But I did know at that point, I'm ready to come home. Like, it was cool to see just live in a different place. I think I needed that experience. But I knew that, like, I wasn't with the long distance relationship, and I don't want to live, especially in cold New York. Hot in the summers and cold in the winters. So I came back home.
Yeah.
And then after that, we moved in with Granny.
Well, we lived in Sonoma probably for like you ended up graduating, and after you graduated, we lived there for a few more months, and then we moving in with my grandma, and we lived there. Yeah. And then
that was fun too.
I think we'll get into more like what happened after that on later videos.
Because that was the end of just me and Devin.
Yeah.
That was like the beginning to our story. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We will be dropping new episodes weekly.
Every Monday.
Yeah, every Monday. This one is dropping today on our anniversary, 11 years. And so yeah, I hope you guys enjoy it. Please leave in the comments and hit us up on Instagram. I'll leave all of that stuff in the description box below, but make sure you guys leave us some comments and say like what are some things that you enjoyed about this episode, or that you may not have known of if you guys have known us for all this time. And yeah, we're going to be back weekly.
Yeah.
Okay. Have a good one. Bye. Bye.